Hello everybody and welcome to another video. In this video, I basically just want to talk about methods more and talk about redundancy and how to basically eliminate redundancy with methods. So let me go ahead and get started, make a new Java file, and then call this public class. I'm just going to say methods. I'm just going to call it methods. And we also talked about the opening curly brace and then click enter, just close it right away. That's just my way of coding. And then we need a main method in order to be able to run our program. So that's what we've been doing for the past couple of videos. And this is how the main method goes. And now we talked about how to be able to create a method. In order to be able to create a method, you have to come outside the ending curly brace of the main method, but before the ending curly brace of the class. And then the method signature, majority of the time for now, right now, it's going to be called public static void, and you can give it whatever name you want. And then I'll just call it test for now. And then it's opening parentheses and closing parentheses. There's nothing that goes inside of it. Again, we'll talk about in the future videos of times when it's supposed to be empty and times when it's not supposed to be empty. And then an opening curly brace and a closing curly brace. That's just the majority of Java code. You need opening curly brace and a closing curly brace in order to be able to write methods and be able to have code inside some methods and code inside other methods. And curly brace is a way to be able to separate that. And so let's go ahead and do some simple operations. Let's just print out system.out.println. I love dogs. And then let's go ahead and do something else. Let's just do system.out.println. I love cats. And let's go ahead and do system.out.println. Just say I love cookies. So that's just that. Let me just go ahead and make another method. I'll call this another. And let me just say I love me. I love you. I love we. Again, I'm just printing some random stuff out. And let me go ahead and make another method, and I'll call it John. I don't know, Junu. I don't know what that means, but it's just a method name. You could have whatever name you want. And let me go ahead and say I love me, I love you, and I love we. And then let me go ahead and print out system.out.println, and I don't know what this word is, and then another word. Let me go ahead and print it out. Loop. So, as we know, this is a way to be able to uh, write methods. Let me go ahead and save it though. I'm just gonna save this in my documents. I'm just going to save my documents for now. Yep, save over. And let me go ahead and run it. So I ran it, but nothing happened. And that's because I never actually called it. We talked about in order for how Java code works is the main method is what is running everything. So whenever you click run, what the compiler does is it looks for the main method and it looks for what code to execute. But for now, as we know, this is the main method. There's nothing inside of it. So the program doesn't even run anything, which is why we're seeing empty output. If we want to be able to run our methods or print these things that these methods have, we need to be able to call it. So how you call it is you call the method name. If for those of you guys who forgot, you just call the method name, parentheses, semicolon. There you go. And this will basically call only one method. I love dogs. I love cats. I love cookies. Let's say I want to call the method another. I do the same thing. I do another, parentheses, and semicolon. Let me go ahead and run it. And there you go, it runs that. And then let me go ahead and run the last one. And there we go. It basically ran I love, what did this method run? It ran I love me, I love you, I love we, which is the same thing as this method right here. And then I love me, I love you, and then it printed out these random words that I just typed, which I don't even know what they are. But that's just a review of methods. But as we know, as you can see, I think I pointed out right now, see how these lines of code are really similar. For example, it goes I love me, I love you, I love we, and then it goes I love me, I love you, and I love we. But the problem is we are running these methods, we are printing these the same lines of code in the same methods. I mean in different methods, but they print the exact same lines of code. So part of the reason why we make methods is to be able to simplify code so that way we don't have to type repeated code out. For example, as you can see, this line is repeated as this line right here. So in order to be able to fix that, we need to basically use the method I love me, I love you, I love we, which is another. And whenever we want to print out those same lines of code, we could just simply call the method that actually prints that line of code. So instead of actually printing out all these, I could just call the method another. Because look, let me go ahead, let me just take a step back. So what I'm trying to say is, see how these lines of code are really similar to these lines of code here? So if we're going to be able to do that, I mean, this is okay, but somebody reading your code would probably say you could simplify this, or let's say you want to print this out 100 different times. Like you're not gonna just copy and paste 100 different times. You'll basically use the method again and just let the method print out those same 3 lines of code. So if I actually delete all these and then call another, and then we talked about on the previous method how when you call a method, it basically executes all the lines of code in that method. So if I go ahead and run it, we can see that I love dogs, I love cats, I love cookies, I love me, I love you, I love we, I love me, I love you, I love we. See how these 3 lines of code are the same, but I used one method to be able to simplify it, so that way I don't have to type out 3 different println system dot println I love me, system dot println I love you, system dot println I love me. And so basically I am able to simplify this with by using a method that prints out the same 3 lines of code. And I can also get fancy again. I could say, I can make another method, public static void, just say another 2. And then I can actually call another if I want to. I could actually call another. And let me go ahead and compile it. Let me go ahead and run it. And let me go ahead and actually call it though. Let me actually call it here, another 2. See, I actually printed out again. I love me, I love you, I love we. If I want to, I could call the method another 2. I could call the method 2 like 30 different times if I wanted to, and just print out those same lines of code. See, I can print out I love me, I love you, I love we, I love me, I love you, I love we. So part of the reason why we have methods is to be able to simplify code. And what I'm trying to get across, my point I'm trying to make in this video, is when you have a method that does something and then you plan to do it again in another method or someplace else, you should actually use that method and actually call it, so that way you don't have to type that same 3 lines of code over and over again. And that's just the way how we eliminate redundancy, is by using methods to be able to simplify a program as much as we can. And we don't want to type out the same lines of code over and over again. We can just use methods to be able to do that. And so that's just part of the reason why methods are really important and how methods can be used and their applications. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in another video.